Welcome, everyone. This is Nichel Anderson. I'm your host for my podcast show, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a wonderful guest.
Laszlo, yes.
All right, so Laszlo is here today, and we're going to go ahead and start this podcast by having him to introduce himself and get started. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Nichel, for having me on here. I really appreciate that. Been looking forward to it for a long time. So, yes, my name is Laszlo. Last name is Heckler. Let's see here. I was born from a different country and came to America when I was about 6 years old, and lived in New York most of my life. And then I moved to Tennessee and, went through multiple hardships.
Yes.
And overall, I've achieved some sort of success. So pretty much I do try to help as much people as I can, by telling my story and my, setbacks and my mistakes, and hopefully that teaches others how to overcome their obstacles. So pretty much the whole meaning of why I'm doing this.
That's perfect. That's why I started this podcast, where it was from my book, but the whole premise was what you just said. The experiences that we experience in life can help not only other people, but give them encouragement, because encouragement is vital in life. Without it, it's hard to have the hope or the mindset to keep going. So thank you so much for being today. And I do ask my listeners when I do my podcast, it's always good when you share your experiences. It's giving. So I thank you so much for willing to share your story and what you do and how people can connect with you. We'll get into that at the end of the podcast. But let's talk about your vast experience in your field. I know you said you're a motivational. You do a lot of things, but you're a motivational speaker. Talk on what you want to talk most, so you want people to know about, what you do and how you connect with people.
Well, yes, I'm a motivational speaker. I've spoken to, multiple companies. One of which I recently finished the contract with. It was with Berkeley Pharmatech, and wonderful company to work for. And the students are amazing. A lot of them are from prestigious universities, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, those kind of universities. And it's humbling to know that they need my help. And I'm a nobody, I don't have the ego in today's society.
Yeah.
I'm very humbled and came from humble beginnings. So I feel like it's a reality check. It's like, wait a minute, they need my help. They need me to help them motivate them to keep going.
Right.
And one of the things I found out is everybody needs help.
Right.
No matter where you are in life, no matter, where you start in life, even you're like, wow, these students are from prestigious universities. They're, they're going places. How can I help them? And as I, introduced my office hours to them, and they kept coming and asking me questions. How do you get through difficulties? How do you, when people are doubting you, how do you prevent that from getting to you, and those kind of things? Hey, I've never really had difficulty because I've never had any actual struggle. But I know you, Laszlo, I know you've had so much struggle in life, language barrier, relationship barriers, all these problems, but how did you overcome them?
Right.
They really want to know, and that really opened up my perspective in terms of, like I said, it doesn't matter where you are on the mountain. Everybody needs some sort of help. And it's fantastic you have this podcast because, like you said, everybody has some sort of experience that they've gone through that could help literally anybody at whatever stage they are in life. And that's a big perspective to think about. And that's really what it's all about.
I think that's wonderful.
What I want to do is usually the obstacles, I believe, is not physical. I believe most of it's mental.
Yes. I always say that on my third page. Mental peace.
That is so true, though. It's, even if let's say you did have a physical disability. When I was adopted, from my country with my parents, wonderful parents they are, I saw my mom walking, running, from that to crutches to wheelchair to bedridden. So multiple stages she went through. And what I realized during that, it wasn't the difficulty of her physically that she was battling. It was the mental toll that was getting to her. And I could see her fight through that. And I thought, wow, she's a very strong woman. Not the physically, but the mentally part. From being able to walk, run, go places, to being on crutches, wheelchair, and then being bedridden. What kind of mentality do you go through, for those kind of stages?
Right.
And that's really what it's about. It's so we have to be careful on how we go about talking to people, being aware that just because they look happy. So I definitely believe this is all mental game that we're playing. And we have to work together for this, for each of us to be successful. So
be a team.
That's
even
really,
though, if you don't know the person, if not in your family, but treat those as you want to be treated, and also acknowledge the stress that someone could be going through, even though they're smiling through it. Just like if you fall down, you get back up, but you still feel that kind of pain when you from falling down. But they put a smile on their face. So it's like you're saying, you could be smiling, but you don't know what people are going through. So just, it's just a way of looking at things differently and understanding.
Exactly. Exactly. And when you have that mentality, what you realize, it's a lot easier to connect with others.
Right.
Because you have that empathy.
Right. Empathy is so important.
And
I like when you said that early in
People don't have that, though. That's the thing. People don't have that empathy and humbleness to them.
Right.
And realizing that they're like, oh, come on, just get up. That's easy. Or, hey, you're homeless, just get a job. It's like, well, how can I get a job when I don't have a license, when I don't have location, which is required. There's so many aspects. Like, wait a minute, think for a minute. The guy can't just get a job.
Right.
It's a lot more difficult than that. Don't make it out to be so easy.
Yes.
Go in his shoes and you try it without a house or a driver's license, which is all required to get a job anyway. Bank account, So
after 2008, especially in the United States, a lot of people went through so much turmoil, and even you'll say last year as well. I mean, what they thought one day wasn't the next. You have to start all over. It's not easy. It's very hard. And then, and like you're saying, I'm glad that you're touching on the mental today, because I teach that a lot about, mental peace and how you should strive for it. It needs to be a conversation, not just, oh, okay, that's over there. No, because it's a living, breathing type energy. And our mind, sometimes it's just like when you using something over time, like you drive a car or something like that, or any type of, or even a computer, over time it gets overheated and it needs to take a break. And so does humans. We're not robots. And we also just need to connect with them. Yeah, they try to be, but when you put it in the book, no, you're not. So, but you're right. They act like that they are, and they go about their business, and then they have a shutdown, and then they're wondering why and all of this. But it's about understanding someone else's position. Put yourself in that person's position. And ego, to me, is a very tricky thing. You can sneak up on people, and you have to be able to batter that and say, no, that's not right. That's not in the spirit of giving, or that's not the premise of, I'm trying to relate to someone else, even though I'm not in that predicament. But how can I help? If you do it that way, then you won't be on the side of thinking that you're above it, because it can happen to anybody. And we have to work together. So I like how you connected that even though you meet someone or what have you, you might think everything's going fine, but it might not be. So you be considerate.
Exactly. 100% agree. It's really about perspective.
Right. That's the word.
Realizing that you're not the biggest person in the room,
Right.
and there are other people on this planet, and
Right.
we all got to work together. So,
Right.
get off your high horse. You know, uh,
And
people
come
have
sit
that
at the supper
mentality.
table like everybody else.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly, exactly. It's a round table,
Right.
and all have to look at. So people have
Right.
that mentality where, they think they're the best and, the world owes them something.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't. The world
Mm-hmm.
doesn't owe you anything. You're not entitled to anything. You got to work
You have
hard. You
to
got to
earn
play
it.
smart. You got to
Yeah.
earn it. You got to deserve it.
And be humble
And
about it.
be
Yeah.
humble about it and help others along the way,
Right.
because they
It's a
also,
cycle.
perhaps,
Yeah.
the circle, they also might feel like they're entitled. I think of
Mm-hmm.
success and mentality and, the journey of life as like
Mm-hmm.
climbing a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because, and I've listened to this one podcast, but he describes it, and it's a fantastic podcast. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
remember what it was. It's been a couple of years, but he describes success as like a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are looking for an elevator,
Mm-hmm.
and what
Yes.
you don't realize is there is no damn elevator.
Uh-huh.
And I'm already halfway up the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, so
And be respectful for those that have been up this stairs. Like you said, when your students was going to you and it was connecting and want to know and understand. I think that's wonderful. At least they're interested and curious about it. And that's why I'm taking it at that experience of reaching out to you, because they want to learn so they can understand. So when they get in that circumstances, they know what to deal with it, because you gave them the tools and the information on how to do it. But you're right. And those that have climbed the mountain, you got to respect those, not, try to tear
exactly
it
and
down because you want her
exactly.
to get up there. And there's no elevator.
There is no elevator. There really is. It literally is just hard work and how you use your time that's given to you.
Right.
And that really is going to determine it. They
Hmm.
say it's almost like, okay, well, everybody starts somewhere on that mountain. Perhaps some people
Right.
start right at the bottom. I started right at the bottom.
I
There
hear
are
you.
some people that
Yes.
might be, a little bit lucky, and they
Hmm.
might start, somewhere near the middle.
Hmm.
But here's the thing: anybody can fall wherever you start.
Right. There you go.
That's the thing. That's the difference. So, okay,
Right.
you started at the middle, but you're not going anywhere. Brother, I start at the bottom and I'm going somewhere. So the
Hmm.
mentality is it doesn't really matter where you start, it matters where you want to go,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Because if you
Right.
don't want to go anywhere, you'll never get anywhere.
And then all of this, what we're talking about today, those that tune in, it's about putting things in perspective so you can get your mental peace. And if you struggling with anything, or you wonder why certain things always happen, maybe you get the reactions that you don't want to get and you don't understand. This
Hmm.
is why this is coming out now, talking about it, because it's meant to be, because it was kind of hard, like we're saying, we've been trying to connect for a while.
Right.
So to me, I was thinking, well, that must be a message that we need to give out to help. And so I think the two things we could take away so in this podcast is how he's sharing with us the basis of success is tied to our mental state, our mental peace, our balance. That's what he's teaching us right now. And then the other thing I could take away so far, right quick, I want to say before we continue, is that he's reminding us, or if we didn't realize or didn't connect it, being humble to me is the recipe of life. Because no matter what title that you have or what have you, at the end of the day, like he said, you come into the table to have supper and it's a round table. So everybody is giving and sharing, and it's a positive understanding. It's a good experience. So that's what he's teaching us right now. And it's good to kind of reflect that. So I just want to kind of touch on that right quick, because I love what you're saying. Let me just ask you, can you share with us greatest struggle that you want to share to get to overcome that? Go ahead and share with
So,
us. Yeah, I know it's a lot. Go ahead and see, can you
yeah.
pick one?
Well, one of the things I want to share a general idea that I learned throughout my life that I've always questioned. And
Mm,
I've come to the realization, because now we're talking about perspective, and this is really
right.
the main message I want to give out to your listeners that I have learned throughout my life. And it's such an interesting perspective, and we don't even realize it.
Mm,
Um, And this is the whole reason why I started my own company too. This is the whole reason why I actually started motivational speaking too. This is the whole reason. And this is
Right.
it. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. You want to hear it again?
Yes.
I'm just messing. No, okay. So
Because you said it so fast. I was like, ooh, I ate it up so
exactly,
fast. Like, you know how you
exactly.
eat a cookie and you had it in your head, next thing you know, you just licking your fingers and you got crumbs and you ate it so fast.
Exactly. So here it is. Here it is,
Okay.
really though. Perspective on difficulty. Perspective on setbacks. Perspective on mistakes. This is what I want to talk about. See, in life, how many times have you thought to yourself, "Dear God, why is this happening to me?" Or, "Can my life get any worse?" Or, like I said, "Why is this happening to me? Why is it happening to me now?"
Right.
I've caught myself saying that multiple times throughout my life. Every mistake I've made, every setback I've had, your first initial response is, "Why me? Why now?"
Right.
You know, and I think we are not opening our eyes clearly, because what we should be asking during these times, whether you get a DUI, whether you fall down, whether you made a mistake, whether this decision made you, you made that decision, now you're going to get a setback, this is going to set you back. We've heard
Right.
these sayings, and you're like, yeah, you're right, this is going to set me back. But no, what you should be asking is simply this: from this difficulty, from this mistake, from this so-called setbacks, from this so-called failure, how is this going to teach me to be better than I currently are right now? We never think of it like that, because when we do start think of it like that, they're like, wait a minute. Okay, initially this mistake, this setback, this failure, this disastrous event, initially it might sound like this is going to put us back, and it might put you back initially, one step back. But what you don't realize is this is actually preparing you, and it's preparing you so you can leap 10 steps forward.
I hear you. You
Because
preaching now. You preaching.
because what you don't realize is simply this: had you not had that failure, had you not had that DUI, had you not had some sort of struggle, some difficulty, you would not have the ability to increase, to get further in life, to leap 10 steps forward. You would not have had that, because
Right.
only through difficulty, only through mistakes can you get out stronger.
Right.
It's just like a phoenix when you think about it. A phoenix is immortal, just like our spirits, right? So the phoenix, it rebirths a new life, but it doesn't rebirth weaker. It rebirths stronger, better, faster, smarter than it did in its previous life.
Right.
I know people who had drinking problems. A very, very good friend of mine had a drinking problem. And he got through it. He got through the whole drinking problem. And you know what he said is it built something in him that he didn't realize he had. A new level of strength. And with that level of strength, he gained new perspective. And that's something he probably couldn't have gained had he not gone through that. And that's what we have to look at, because every difficulty in life we get, guess what? It ain't harder than us. We're the hardest thing in life. But we are. And we have to realize that we can literally create anything. We can create anything into existence. But it's the mental game where we say, oh God, why me? Why now? Can this get any worse? And then you make this difficulty so big that it crushes you.
Right. It's the
Like you
Mr.
said,
It's Mr. Fear. That's all I like to say. Mr.
it
Fear
really,
and his
yes.
whole family. And you have to choose. You have to remember the times that you did get over. Because everybody can at least can say, well, I remember I thought this was going to happen, but actually it didn't. And I actually didn't even sat down and kind of really realize it until later. But that's when you have to take those moments. It's like Laszlo was saying about perspective, is because perspective that you're taking a moment, you're thinking it through, like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to either use this as something I'm just going to sit down and not be proactive in life, or I'm going to use it as a stepping stone and get over it, or do the things that I need to do to get beyond it and learn from it. Failures is really an opportunity. That's what failures are. But we can't see that because we might be consumed with anxiety or fear, and you got to push that aside. And you got to say, not today. That's like Laszlo said, I love it. Like, you can create your own reality with the right mindset. And you have to, and sometimes you have to visualize first, and you have to implement it, put in the effort.
It's so true. Let's quickly touch on reality for a minute, because that's an interesting topic. And how many times, Nichel, have you heard, or you've heard somebody, or you said to yourself, because I know I catch myself saying it sometimes, it's simply this: go on vacation and you come back and your friend asks you, well, how was your vacation? How was Hawaii? How was Germany? How was Atlanta? How was your vacation? And you say, oh man, I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Oh, I had a great time. I felt so comfortable, so relaxed. It was absolutely fantastic. And then your friend asks you, I'm so happy you had a great time. And now what? What now? And they say, well, now I got to step back into reality. I got work Monday. I got to get back to reality now. I got life here. We've heard that saying, hey, step back into reality. We've heard, hey, stop dreaming, step back into reality. Oh, I love my vacation in Hawaii. All right, let's get real for a minute. Now I got to go back to work Monday. But my thinking is this, and we've heard that, it might be in different forms that we say it, but we know what we're talking about. Right. But my question is this: very good friend of mine, military sergeant. She went to Germany. She loved it, and I asked her that exact question. She said she loved it. She said she felt amazing, relaxed, comfortable. I said, what happened when you got back to the States? And she said, well, I had to snap back into reality. And I asked her, well, what do you mean by that? Why can't your reality be what it was in Germany? Why can't your reality be so happy, be so comfortable, be so relaxed?
You deep diving, Laszlo. Deep diving it. You breaking it down.
Yeah, why can't your reality be that?
Right.
Why can't you have that same feeling? Why can't you? What is your excuse? Your reality is simply this: whatever your mind is, in terms of reality, that is going to be your reality.
Right.
For if you believe in your mind that that's your reality, that's what it's going to be.
Especially in the workplace, you have to be above, or it'll tear you down. When you, especially in a toxic workplace, or if it's not, or what have you, you just got. I totally agree with that metaphor, what you're sharing with us. You got to be above it. Keep with how you was feeling before, like you just said on vacation, how wonderful you was connected to life, experiencing things. And I know you have to, people have to go back to work and do this and that, but it doesn't mean that your mind has to be to any type of level but higher, in a sense of, it keeps your mind healthy, keeps your spirit healthy, it keeps you focused forward, it keeps you any type of situation that comes up that can be hurtful, what have you, to go beyond that and move forward. It definitely will release stress.
Nobody on vacation ever feels stressful. It's
always
bliss. It's always happy. It's almost like whatever worries you have in your life,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You're on vacation. Why can't you make your vacation into the reality of your actual life?
Right. It doesn't matter.
That's the thing. Why can't we do that? Because the reality of our minds, that's what determines the reality of what we see. And you got to figure out, well, what is it you want in life? And what do I need to do to get that reality?
Right.
That's how we go about changing ourselves. The ability to be aware, the ability to have that new perspective, and start questioning what's happening in life, what you're doing in life. And, sometimes, I believe sometimes the things we do every day, those are the things that we got to look at. Right. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to change everything all at once. And don't expect to change everything all at once, because that's a big mountain to climb.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And sometimes when you're, well, I want this, I want to change that, I want to, okay. Well, now you're making it almost impossible,
Right.
because the mountain is so high, you don't know where to start. But if you say, well, I just want to change this one thing,
I got an answer for that. I got a solution for that. When you're in
okay,
that
yeah,
predicament, if you're listening,
yeah,
and you said it earlier that I love to preach on, is when you humble, everything is just going to fall into place at the right time, because time is your friend. But the one word I want my listeners to get through today is, when you started off when we started this interview, is being humble. So if you feel you have a long list of things that I got to do this, I got to work on this on myself, I would just look at it as if this, just like what Laszlo was saying, you just got to have the pace that is good for you. You don't want to rush it. You don't want to feel like it's a mountain, which it is, but you don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, how I'm going to get through this. Because a setback. When you humble, everything seems to fall into place. That's how my perspective is on that. And that gives you a peace of mind that you're working towards something. You can't rush things that might need adjustment or different awareness of how you go about things, or stopping certain behaviors that you know you need to do. And when you humble to knowing to other people and to yourself, because you also got to be kind to your mind and your heart, setting up to get failure by saying I got to do this and this and this at a certain time, can be painful. So you don't want to do that. And that's what Laszlo is saying. You're not trying to fix everything in the next hour. But when you humble, if you put that in your recipe, or matter of fact, just use it as a tea. Let me be humble about it. You can be humble to somebody else that's struggling. It might be in a way worse situation than you are. You be humble with that person, and that heals your heart. Your heart, because I always say that your heart and your mind is connected, but your mind in itself, that's the big driver there, and the decisions that we make and the experiences that we experience. So being humble is so key for you to progress to where you feel or what you want to experience in life. So I just want to say that.
I totally agree with you, and coming back to that, being humble and being able to, not make it such a big mountain, simply put, one step at a time. And I know we've all heard this before, and it sounds cliche and whatnot,
but it's true,
but it's so true. And that one step at a time, you realize those steps soon become, yards, and those yards soon become bigger than that. It just starts growing and growing and growing. And my fiance says to me all the time, because one thing I've developed is patience. So I'm sure, right. We always want something, and we always want something now. And if we don't get it now, we aren't going to be satisfied. But it's that delayed gratification that's what always pays off. So, you got to be thankful what you have now, because like you said, some people don't even have that. Some people are praying right now for things you are taking gas for. So yeah, you definitely have to be thankful for that. But it's that one step at a time, being patient and knowing that, yes, you're not going to get it right away, but eventually you will get it, as long as you keep doing one step at a time. That's what's going to get you there the quickest.
Right. And being humble is being patient. To me, it's tied into that, because when you're humble, you're willing to listen, you're willing to wait it out. If you really think about the expression of the word, and that gives you patience of what are you trying to accomplish in your own personal life, or when you're working with other people in the workplace, what have you. Because being humble just makes you kind of sit back, and you're just going to take the ride where it takes you. You know what I mean? You're going to accept the things. You're not going to be too hard on yourself or hard on someone else. And it just creates that positive energy. Positive energy is healing. Positive energy is so true. Thank you so much for joining my podcast today with my interview with Laszlo. Towards the end of our interview, it seemed like we had technical difficulty, but it was okay, because we got most of the goodies that he came today to share. And I'm going to leave his contact information in the description of my podcast, so you can contact him. You can definitely reach out to him through LinkedIn. And again, I have that information for you. He's a wonderful, kind-hearted, intelligent, positive
human being that's here to motivate us on our journey. So I hope you enjoyed this interview. I'm sorry I didn't get towards the end where for some reason it stopped recording, but we got most of it. So please stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for joining me today.